Alright guys, I've got you nice and zoomed in here so hopefully you can see my face, my skin. I've messed around with the lighting now for about 20 minutes because I'm really trying to perfect having very natural lighting. It's a little difficult because I have some small natural light coming from a window kind of off this way. But the room itself is not super bright, so I am using some lighting, but I don't want it to be super blown out. Like I want you to be able to see I have sunspots on my skin and I have, you know, redness on my chin. Like I want you to be able to see those things. So hopefully this is good lighting for today's video. Before I get into sort of channel change stuff, I did want to go through what I'm going to put on as base today, just so you guys can kind of see, so I don't have to stop and talk about everything. I'm going to be using my Rimmel Fix and Perfect for two reasons. One, I'm trying to use it up. It's part of my project pan since Rimmel isn't cruelty free. And two, the foundation I'm going to be using is the new Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Foundation. I don't know why that is so hard for me to say. Anyway, I'm in the shade Too Cool. I'm still playing around with this guy, and I felt like trying it with a thicker, richer, more moisturizing primer because she is recommending using her magic cream, and that's not something I've purchased. The price point just kind of hits me every time I look at it. And then I'm also going to be using CoverGirl TruBlend Undercover Concealer. I keep seeing everyone and their mother talk about how much they love this, and I feel like it looks really chalky under my eyes. I don't know how else to describe it. It doesn't look smooth. It doesn't look like it's blended out. Like all the things that literally every other person is saying, I'm not seeing. Now, I've been primarily using a sponge with it, so today I'm going to try it with a brush and see if it makes any difference whatsoever. So that is the plan for base, so that I can kind of just keep talking as I'm applying things. So I've been thinking about filming this video for a while and kind of jotting down my thoughts on a whole bunch of topics that I had told you, gosh, I don't even remember what video I had told you I was going to bring this up, but I knew I wanted to come back and kind of come to some sort of mental conclusion on how I felt about PR, how I felt about sponsored content, and how I wanted to kind of handle a number of different things on my channel. And you know, before I get into any of what I'm going to say, there are channels that I really dislike how they handle PR, and there's channels who I absolutely love how they handle PR. Like always with sponsorships, there's some channels where they do sponsored content and I feel like it's very inauthentic, and then there's other channels who do sponsored content and I think it's fantastic. I personally think that there is a way to do both of those things effectively, and so I really had to come to terms with what do I want to do, right? Because I think you can find good and bad examples of both. So I told you guys I was just going to say no to all PR until I kind of came to a conclusion in my mind. And you know, early on in this year that really wasn't an issue because most of the things that were being offered to me in quote unquote PR were just like dumb things. Like I would never even want to accept like some random Bluetooth headset or some tea that's supposed to make me lose 100 pounds, like things that I would never want to even try in a million years, let alone talk about on my channel. So saying no to PR was like very, very easy for me at the time. But then in, I think it was May, so either April or May is when I started sort of my whole beauty budget thing. And then I started to really think about, okay, my channel's getting big enough that I could potentially start to get some PR from places. Do I want to accept it? And how does that impact my beauty budget? Because I've set myself a budget and I'm tracking against it. And how does taking PR impact that beauty budget kind of idea? Just as a heads up, this is very, very full coverage, and so I do everything in my power not to make it full coverage because that's not a look I like. And then if you saw my what I bought in September video, you will know that this foundation also darkens quite a bit. So the color that it looks like when I first apply it is going to change very dramatically as it dries. So just a heads up on that. But I find that one pump of this is like, that is enough to do my entire face and part of my neck. So yeah, see, like right now that looks a little light for me. It won't in just a second. So I literally just grabbed a tiny little dot on my finger and look how much, I mean, that's like stinking full coverage. It looks almost mask-like. So I blend it out like a crazy person and then use my beauty blender to further kind of shear it out and press it into my skin. What was I saying? This is the problem when my brain's trying to multitask and talk about the products I'm putting on, plus talk about a serious topic. Maybe this wasn't the best way in which to do channel announcements, but hey, we're rolling with it now. So that is one thin layer, and I would say because I sheared it out, it's giving me medium coverage. Like you can still see sort of some of my sunspots peeking through a little bit, but it's definitely, I would say, high medium coverage. Let's see, I'll get back into this PR conversation. So I've listened to a number of people I follow talk about how they're handling PR, so on and so forth. I am not opposed to PR on my channel, is basically the conclusion that I've come to. But I also don't want to be a, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to be a distribution center for Project Beauty Share. So Project Beauty Share is where I send all of my makeup that I'm not using or that I've tried and didn't care for, or if I do a declutter and it can be sanitized, if it's not going to friends or family, it's going to be donated there. So I've watched a number of YouTubers that I really love and follow stop taking PR. Jessica Braun stopped taking PR, and Samantha did as well, because, and in large part was, they felt like they were just constantly overwhelmed. Huge boxes showing up. They were turning into recycling centers. They were having to pay all this money for extra recycling to even come to their house to pick up all of these boxes and packaging. They had more makeup than they ever wanted to play with. They would be sent every foundation in every color. They would sent every lipstick in every color. Like, that does not appeal to me. That just gives me anxiety. The thought of having all of that just show up at my house and me have to sort through what I want to try, and like then, you know, having to ship out giant boxes to Project Beauty Share on a regular basis, like that whole idea stresses me out. Like, I don't want to be dealing with that much product, because in general I find that the amount of product that I'm purchasing inside of my beauty budget every month is kind of the amount of product that I want to be purchasing, or want to be trying rather. So I don't want to turn the spigot on per se and end up with an absolutely obnoxious amount of product. I also don't want to be sent a whole bunch of product that I have no interest in trying and then feel obligated to do something with it because they've sent it to me. Here's what I've decided on PR. I'm not opposed to it in a full, not going to take any sort of sense. But as I wrote down in my notes, I want to be intrigued with a product before I take it in. Like, I want it to be something that truly interests me before I take it in. CoverGirl sending me every one of their brow products in every color for me to test, I have no interest in doing that. I don't really care that much about my brows. Like, I'll fill them in and I'll try and make them look a little more even and a little fuller, but like in general, testing brow products is not something I enjoy doing. Other people do, but I don't. So I don't want to get every brow product from CoverGirl sent to me. I don't want to get every shade of every blush that Physicians Formula launches. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm not getting a PO box. I'm gonna continue to leverage the email description that is down below in every one of my channels to kind of have people reach out to me, and if there is something that is interesting to me, I may choose to take it in. But two things. One, I've decided that I'm going to be tracking any PR I get inside of my beauty budget, because the other thing I didn't want to have happen was me to lose track of how much these things actually cost. I didn't want to have this beauty budget that for me was both about gut checking how much I was spending on a monthly basis, being more aware of what categories I was spending into, and just keeping a closer eye on my beauty consumption. And it wasn't about like cutting down or spending significantly less per se. It was more about giving myself some control, some parameters, and then, you know, it was a learning experience for me as well in terms of what categories I'm buying into on a regular basis. Look how much is left still on my hand from that one pump. I see people using pumps and pumps and pumps of foundation sometimes, and I'm just like, so I guess what I'm saying is I really want the things that I choose to bring into my collection to be, or things that I really want to test and try, things that I think you guys might be interested in, things that really intrigue me. And just because somebody's offering it to me for free doesn't mean I want to try it. And I don't want to have this big giant pile of stuff that I feel like I have to test. So for me, it just doesn't make sense to turn this like spigot on full blast. So I'm gonna say yes to PR if it meets those criteria, if I don't feel like it's overwhelming my testing ability to try new products. I want to still be able to enjoy my collection. I want to still use my Shop My Stash. I want to still be using my Project Pan makeup and using that up. And the things that I purchase are the things that I really want to try. I don't mind if something is super intriguing and somebody wants to send it to me, saying yes to that, but I feel like those instances are going to be pretty few and far between. The other thing I would say about PR is I did join Octoly. I've heard a number of influencers talking about Octoly and their ability to, basically what it is you get 5 credits. And so essentially how it works is there's products that are available for you to try, and you basically tell the brand, hey, I want to order this. I want this sent to me for free. Basically, you have to talk about it on your channel within 28 days of receiving it, is basically how it works. And so you're writing and requesting that to the brand. So they're basically saying, hey, there's this eyeshadow palette in the free store. You can use one of your credits to say you want us to send it to you, but then the brand basically is evaluating you and saying yes or no. I got into Octoly because I thought, well, that could be a controlled way for me to potentially get a little bit of PR, because it's really on me and what I'm requesting. And if I feel like my sort of testing pile is too big, I don't have to request anything, it's fine. But on the off chance that one of the things I'm really interested in is available out there, that could be kind of cool. Anyway, so like I said, I'm going to be very choosy about what things I take in PR. I'm also going to be tracking those in my beauty budget and tracking the dollars that those things cost, because what I don't want to have happen, fast forward a year, is that, you know, I've got $300 of my own beauty budget every month, and I'm taking in $300 worth of free product every month too. I don't want that to be the case. I want to be a little pickier, and I still want the majority of products that I'm talking about on my channel to be things that I purchase myself, because I do think that there is a Hannah Louise Potion talked about this in one of her videos recently. Like, there is a difference, at least for me, and it seems like for her, on how you value something when it's free versus how you value something when it is a purchase that you made yourself. For me, when I'm thinking about purchasing and I'm thinking about what I want to try, like that's purely me on all fronts. When I purchase something, I've thought about this on all fronts. I've thought about it financially. I've thought about how I want to use it on my channel. I've thought about why it intrigues me, what makes me curious about those products, so on and so forth. And what I don't want to have happen is just taking in a glut of products that I'm not really that interested in, that I wouldn't have spent my own money on just because they're free. That is PR. I feel like I've been talking for a while and I've only done 2 things on my face. So let's try this CoverGirl concealer. I am in the shade Porcelain L150, and part of me wonders if I need to go get a darker shade, and maybe that will be different. I've also heard this is super full coverage, so I am going to just do a little dot there because that's where the bulk of my darkness is. See, that may be the problem. This looks really white. I'm just gonna do 3 dots, and that is probably more than I want. In fact, I'm just gonna wipe off that last dot. I can already tell that's more coverage than I would typically want, and I'm just gonna use this little Real Techniques brush to kind of blend it around. I might be reacting to this concealer, guys, because of how light it is. And I am not somebody who likes a super bright under eye, although that helped. So you guys can see that there. Definitely gives good coverage. I mean, I feel like it got rid of all of the darkness. I still feel like it looks chalky though. I don't know. You see that? I just feel like it looks a little, it's not as smoothing as some that I have. I'm tempted to go get a slightly darker shade because I feel like that might be part of the problem. I definitely think I like it better with a brush though. I almost never say that about concealers, but I feel like this one's got a little bit of a thicker full coverage consistency, and I feel like a brush might be the better way to go. I am not going to powder that. I'm just going to let it sit and set and see what happens. So I'm going to do what I normally do and let my foundation kind of just sit I'm not going to powder anything. I'm going to move on to my eyes. I'm going to do most of my eye look, and then I will come back and reassess, like, does my foundation need any powder? Did it set itself? Do I need to do anything with my under eyes, etc.? So for eyes, real fast, I've had this like thought in my head about what if I could combine like maroon into rust, right? So like frequently what we see is sort of reds and rust, oranges and rusts for fall. But sometimes I feel like those orange shades can be a little, or the bright cranberries, etc., can be just a little intense. So in my head, I was like, what if I just like muted everything? So like added grayish into those colors, and I used a more muted rust, and I used a maroon or a mauve as opposed to a maroon or a cranberry. And what if I did like a muted fall look? And so that's kind of what I've been rattling around in my brain. And I also like the juxtaposition of using a mauve type shade and a cooler mauve type shade along with a rusty red type shade. So I've been pulling all kinds of stuff. So I pulled a shade out of this like old Studio Makeup on the Go palette. This was the Cool Down one. I think I got this in a box you charm like a year ago. I pulled it because I think that's the mauve shade I want to use. And then I pulled the Huda Rose Gold dupe palette that I kind of put together because I think these two sort of rusty shades here is what I'm thinking in terms of like a muted rust color. And then I also pulled, because I just got this in the mail, this is my first alter ego palette. This is the Sahara palette. This is the one that's supposedly duping the Natasha Biba palette. And I pulled this because I think it's got some deeper rusty type shades in here that I may end up using as well. I think I'm gonna go sort of mauve in the transition, rust in the corner, mauve on the eyes. So I kind of want to go mauve to rust. I don't know, I'm totally winging it here, guys. I will try and include, in fact, what I'll do so I don't have to pause and talk about everything, I'm gonna put both the brush as well as the shade, like the product that I'm using, up on the screen for you guys so that I can just keep talking and not pausing the way that I am sort of awkwardly doing right now. Can I just say too, I feel like this concealer looks really dry under my eyes. I don't feel like my eyes were really dry, but I feel like it's really emphasizing all of my line. All right, let's get off the concealer. In fact, let's zoom you in a little closer so you can actually really see me working on eyes here. So let's move on to sponsored content. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I am not against sponsored content, and I think I talked about this in my unpopular videos, or responding to your unpopular opinions or hot takes video around how I feel about YouTubers I love getting sponsored by brands. And YouTubers that I love and trust, I get kind of excited when they see them get sponsored because I feel like it's like, ooh, some brand saw in them what I saw in them, right? Some brand went, oh yeah, they have a lot of talent. Let's do sponsored content with them. And so I almost feel like it's a validation somewhat in terms of what I see in that YouTuber a brand also sees. I don't know, it's kind of a silly way to look at it, but that's how I've always looked at it. But then I had to put it through a filter of, you know, what do I want to do? Because I think there's channels, like I said, who do sponsored content really well. And I think there's people who do sponsored content kind of poorly in sense of it not feeling authentic and just feeling very forced, and it feels awkward as a viewer watching it, right? There's some awkwardness there. So here's where I'm at right now. I just don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. A couple reasons. Most sponsored content is around specific products that they want you to talk about, and most sponsored content, I don't know as if you're given always adequate time to test something. Now, it's one thing if somebody is like, a brand is reaching out to you and saying, hey, let's do a deal. I know you already love this product. Or a brand is reaching out and saying, let's do sponsored content. We're going to give you a full month to test this product and let us know that you actually really want to do it and it works for you before you say yes. I just don't feel like a lot of times that's what's going on. I think with the people that I love and trust, I think that's more what's going on. But I also trust them not to do content that they didn't believe in. Ultimately, what it comes down to, and this is going to sound really, so how can I say this? I ultimately don't need to do sponsored content. So YouTube is a hobby for me. It's something I do because I enjoy it. I'm not at a place where I'm looking for the money I make on my channel or on YouTube to be part of my income. Not everyone is that way, and that's okay. There are people who are building full-fledged careers because they wanted to walk away from yield, normal corporate job, etc., and build their own, you know, brand online through what they're doing. And I respect the absolute crap out of people who do that. I really do. I look at people like Samantha March and I'm like, wow, like, yes, do all the things, be all the things. I support everything you do. I'm so impressed by your, you know, your attitude and your go-gettiveness, and, you know, just how, you know, passionate you are and consistent you are in putting things out. And so, but I'm doing YouTube for a different reason than Samantha is. She's looking to build a part of her income and part of her career out here on YouTube. That's not now, nor ever will it be a goal of mine. I have a career that I really love and enjoy, that I have no intention of walking away from, no matter how big this channel gets. I'm in a different mental space, I guess, as a result. I'm also at a different place financially, where I'm not looking to supplement my YouTube money by, or make a lot more money on YouTube to help me be a little bit more financially secure. I'm at a point where I don't have to do those things to have financial security, I guess is what I'm saying. Now, I will say, if 25-year-old Sarah was sitting here, she would have a different opinion, because she was struggling to make ends meet and was, you know, any extra amount of cash would have greatly helped her out. I would have thought about it as a supplemental amount of income. I would have really benefited from having even just a few extra $100 here and there in my pocket back then. And so I am not going to judge or put my own both mental, financial, and emotional state on any other YouTube content creator. We're all in different places. We're all doing this for different reasons. We're all thinking about money and what we need to do to be financially secure differently. And I don't want anyone to watch this video and feel like the choices that I'm making should then reflect poorly back on somebody else who's made a different decision. So I equate this back to, you know, in similar fashion, and I think I commented to Hannah the other day, Hannah Lee's post the other day, like, I operate my beauty budget totally differently than her. And that's okay, because we're doing it for different reasons. We're hoping to get different things out of it. We're at different places mentally. I don't think that there's only one way to focus in on a budget. I don't think there's only one amount of money that somebody should be spending on a monthly basis on beauty products. So I do think that as content creators, we really should do what's best for us and then create content that our viewers enjoy. And I don't think that there's a one-size-fits-all kind of mentality out there as it relates to sponsorships and PR. I don't think it's a black and white thing. I know a lot of people will immediately get disgusted if somebody does a sponsorship, immediately get disgusted if somebody takes PR. Like, for them, that just feels icky and gross, and that is like a line in the sand. I guess I feel like the world is more nuanced than that. I feel like there's more gray out there than black and white. I feel like as content creators, we need to be transparent with you about our thinking and our thought processes, but that's really all we owe you. We owe you transparency, and whether or not you agree with our decisions doesn't really matter. Like, what we do needs to fit our own sort of headspace, our own goals, our own emotional state, our own developmental journey. Like, all of the reasons that we do the things we do and make the decisions we make are ours, and we shouldn't have to change that in order to make everyone in our audience happy. And likewise, I also know there's no way to make everybody happy, so that's also something that, you know, it takes a little bit of time to just be okay with the fact that not everyone is going to like you. Not everyone is going to like the decisions you make. So anyway, I'm getting off track, as I frequently do when I talk about subjects like this. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, for me, sponsored content is not something I'm interested in doing. I feel like there's probably ways that sponsored content could come into my channel in a way that was authentic, but like, I don't want to wade through the muck. I don't want to try and like find ways that sponsored content could fit on my channel, even if I really like the brand. Like, to me, it's just, it feels like I want to be able to record what I want to record about when I want to record about it. I don't want to feel like I have to talk about something because I've made a transactional agreement with a brand. It really is about me being a little, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm being a little self-absorbed, in the sense that I don't want to have anyone tell me when and what I need to talk about, because I'm in a place where I'm not trying to make this a career on YouTube. I have that flexibility. Now, if this was going to be my only source of income and I was trying to build a brand and there was a longer range strategy, or when I say brand, I mean just like a personal brand, right? And I really wanted this to be my career, and I needed to really think about how I'm going to run this like a business. I'm running this channel like a hobby, and that allows me a little bit of luxury in terms of how I want to do things. If you need to run your channel like a business, if you need to run your channel, and it sounds like it's very snarky, but if you need to run your channel not so haphazardly, I guess is what I would say. If you want to make a career on YouTube, you can't be as haphazard as I am about when and what you're uploading, and how you're working with brands, and kind of the whole, you know, how you're making money and getting a paycheck from what you're doing. And, you know, if you're doing this as a career, as part of your career, you have a whole different set of parameters that you need to be thinking about than a hobbyist like me does. And I say that, and I have to tell you, I think both are fine. Angelica Nyquist does this as a hobby, and Samantha March does this as part of her career, and I love and trust both of them. I don't think that one way is better than another. I'm just kind of letting you know where I am sitting in this whole thing, and hopefully that makes sense. Now, in the same breath, I will tell you it would be nice to be compensated for the amount of work and time that I spend here on YouTube. I mean, let's be clear, when you're starting out, and you know, before you have, and I don't even know at what point I will ever be making even minimum wage here on YouTube, but you know, at some point maybe I'll make minimum wage on YouTube, given the amount of hours it takes to film and edit and upload and do all the things you need to do to be a content creator. I mean, at some point it'd be nice to make minimum wage. I mean, at some point, and I think I've talked about this inside of my beauty budget, you know, I'm setting aside $300 a month out of my personal budget for picking up beauty products, and my husband kind of sees any money that I make on this channel as like my money, extra, whatever I want to do with it, I can do with it. And for the most part, I've funneled a lot of that money most of that money back into my channel in terms of trying products and things like that. But I also think it would be very nice for me at some point to be able to tell my husband that, you know what, out of my personal budget, we no longer need to budget for anything to do with my channel and anything to do with my personal, you know, beauty budget, etc. Like I'm able to pay for that all of my channel. That $300 can go back into our personal budget for other things. Like, that would be nice to say and to have happen. Now, whether or not that happens anytime soon, I have no idea. I'm kind of learning as I go on the fly. So I like how this is looking, but I want it to be a little rustier out in the outside corners. It's not a requirement on my channel for me to make that kind of money, do that kind of thing. It's like, that's extra. That's not why I'm doing this. It's not the only thing I'm hoping to accomplish on my channel, so on and so forth. So I probably should have talked about exactly what I was doing as I was doing it on my eyes. I've had a lot of you guys ask me how I do eyeshadow looks, and to be honest, I vary the colors a lot, but to be honest, my techniques are almost largely the same. So, summary, no to sponsorships. I'm just using a little bit of IT Cosmetics Superhero Mascara on my upper lashes. And then I am going to use the Clump Crusher Waterproof from CoverGirl on my lower lashes. All right, let's zoom out so you can see my face. So I think, as you can see, that this foundation from Charlotte Tilbury is pretty glowy still. Now granted, I have a lot of light shining at me, so I definitely feel like my skin is reflecting light more intensely in this setting than it would necessarily if you just met me at a Walmart on a Tuesday, but it's still, even in my book, fairly glowy. The nice thing is that it has set down pretty well. I will probably use a tiny touch of powder, but that's it. I'm just gonna use some of my Hourglass Veil powder underneath my eyes. And then the other place that I always set, because I need it, is right around my nose, because I tend to have foundation kind of puddle there. Lightest amount of powder I could possibly get away with. So I wanna finish up my face and then throw on some lipstick, and then that will kind of wrap us up. Let me show you what I'm going to put on the rest of my face. So I'm going to use some of this Charlotte Tilbury contour one that I picked up, and then I'm going to use, I can't stop using these. So this is the Daniel Sadler watercolor blush. This is in the shade Caress, which is a little bit more warm toned, because I feel like I'm almost more mauve than rust on my eyes. Like I kind of wish my eyes were slightly more rusty than they are. In fact, it just made me think. A little brush and a slightly peachier shade. And let me see if I can just add a little more warmth. Yeah, that's better. Just adding a hint of warmth along the edge here. I'm using super feather-like strokes, like I'm barely touching my eye at this point because I don't want to lay down a ton of product. All right, now I feel like I'm seeing the orange and the mauve. Anyway, this shade I think is gonna pull in the warmth to my cheeks, and then I do intend to use a very cool toned lip, so I want this whole thing to be like warm and cool all over my face. I like that look. And then I think for highlighter, I'm gonna use this little Pixi one that's in my Shop My Stash. Last thing that I wanted to kind of chat with you guys about is my upload schedule, which, so I'm curious, and maybe I'll put a poll. I don't think I can do a poll down in the comments. Well, I'm curious. Let me know down in the comments. Are you guys actively aware of when YouTubers upload? Or is it more about, oh, look, there's a new video from them. It was just recommended to me, or I got an alert that a new video went up. Like, are you guys actively aware of when people are like a upload schedule? So like if they are uploading consistently at the same day and time every time, or not. I'm curious. And does that make a difference with how you watch? Like, is it like, okay, you know, it's Saturday morning, you're gonna have a video from so-and-so. Does that make a difference in how you kind of tune into their channels or not? Because my goal has been 3 videos a week. And I've kind of been in my head Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I've been experimenting with what time of day I should upload on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, because you read, if you Google what best times to upload, they're gonna tell you that around noon Eastern time during the week is your best like window. But I also feel like that's a little, I mean, that's very generic advice in terms of all content. I kind of feel like I am also getting a whole bunch of people who enjoy watching my content as they get ready in the morning. And so I've also experimented with just like throwing videos out at like 6 a.m. just to see how they do. And I feel like I may actually get better traction by doing that. So anyway, I was just curious whether or not upload time made a difference to you guys as you think about the channels you guys watch. But I do want to still stick to my 3 days a week thing. I still think this Monday, Wednesday, Friday is kind of what I want to do, because my weekends are not always my own if I have my stepdaughter out, and so sometimes I don't want to have to deal with the stress of uploading another video or dealing with content that's going live on the weekend because I'm spending my time with her. That's kind of been my thought process, but would love to know some input from you. The other thing that I've been thinking about is upload schedule, but kind of quantity of videos, because I feel like I have a lot of ideas that I'm not getting to, or a lot of things that I'm like, oh, I would love to do this tag, or I love what I saw somebody do, I would love to do a take on it myself, and I'm not finding time to fit it into my schedule based on the sort of reoccurring content that I have or other things that I'm trying to get out. So I've also been trying to think about what, if anything, I can do to increase the amount of uploads I have out there. I will tell you guys, if you buy these blushes, one drop is enough for both cheeks. It's kind of mad, it's kind of crazy, but I like these kind of blended in with my finger. And then I will take a sponge and kind of press them in. That'll sheer them out a little bit, but for me, being as fair as I am, that works. So I want to try and find ways to put out more content and be less, but at the same time I don't want to sacrifice quality. Like I don't want to be like such a perfectionist that I like have to have everything perfect in order to put it out there, but there were certain things that I told myself I wanted to do if I was doing a channel like this. I wanted close-up product shots whenever I was talking about products specifically. I wanted to do lots of good lighting and good cutaways. Like I didn't want to just hit record, talk for 20 minutes, and then export that footage up to YouTube. Like I wanted to be thoughtful about how I was putting it together. So I'm trying to think of ways to like do both. So to have more content without kind of sacrificing the things that I like in videos and that I like in what I'm doing with videos. So I've been trying to brainstorm content, times to film. Should I be filming other times during the week? Just adding a tiny touch of Hourglass powder. Because, and this is a good example. So right now I'm filming this Get Ready With Me video. I fully intend to film probably 2, maybe 3 other videos today so that I have sort of a content that's ready to go for me whenever I need it. And so anyway, so I'm trying to figure out ways to do more kinds of content, be able to do some of the tag videos that I see that I really like, do more Get Ready With Me's, because I also was realizing that a lot of my content is very review focused, and I've had a lot of you guys ask me for more, and I don't want to use the word tutorials per se, but more Get Ready With Me, talking about how I put colors together, how do I get my skin to look glowy, what am I doing for skincare routines, so things that are not necessarily just product reviews. And I want to do that. I want to do more of that content. I've been starting to feel like my channel is more product focused than I want it to be. Like I still want to talk about new makeup, and I still want to talk about things I love, and I want to talk about old makeup. Like I want to talk about products on my channel. That's not going to go away, but I kind of feel like I want it to be more than just that. I am going to be using the Milani Keep It Full Nourishing Lip Plumper, and this is in the shade Rosewood, so a little bit more cool toned than the more warm toned blush I put on. I do really like that color. Anyway, I'm brainstorming that because I do feel like I'd like to be more at like 4 videos a week. I feel like 4 would give me a better chance to get out other types of content than I kind of feel like I have in my rotation right now with Shop My Stash videos and sort of what did I buy and favorites and wish lists. And so some of the things that I really do enjoy doing on my channel, I want to keep doing those, but I want to open up a few more slots throughout the month to just have the flexibility to pump in some other content. So, and then also not feel like, you know, if I've pre-recorded all of these like declutter videos, for example, I want to be able to get those out a little bit faster as opposed to having a series of declutter videos drag on for 2 months, etc. So I'm thinking about that. I guess I don't have an answer, but I did want to kind of let you know what I was thinking. And then I also wanted to get your inputs on kind of consistent upload schedule. Does that mean something to you in terms of a specific day and time that you're always looking for content from? Because if that's something I need to, if the resounding answer is yes, then that's something that I want to be thinking about as well as I'm strategizing this whole big thing. So I am gonna go do something with my hair, because this is literally the ponytail that I had going from sleep last night. So I'm gonna attempt to go, I think I'm gonna curl my hair. It's been a while since I've curled my hair. So I'm gonna go curl my hair, and then I will come back and kind of wrap up this video. All right guys, so here is the finished look. It's been a while since I've curled my hair. I've been wearing it up and then slightly naturally wavy for so long. It's been a while since I've curled it. I don't think it remembers what to do. Anyway, here's the finished look. I really like how it came together. It was kind of what I was hoping in my head, which was kind of that muted fallish vibe, and I think it's looking really nice. I do still like how my skin is looking. I just went and like peered super close up at the mirror just to see if I was seeing anything weird going on with the foundation, and honestly right now I'm not. I I always worry when I don't have the same issues with a foundation that other people do, that I'm like missing something, because I feel like so many people have had issues with this foundation looking super matte. It never looks matte on me, and then also like doing weird things with their pores, and I never feel like it does that for me. I don't know, but I like how it looks. So anyway, hopefully all of these sort of channel updates made sense. Let me zoom you back out, because I just wanted to come on here a little bit more casually and talk to you about what I've been thinking, where I'm going with things, because I feel like doing these sort of channel check-ins on a regular basis is just a good way to keep you kind of cued into what's going on in my brain before and if I make any changes to just how I'm thinking about content on here. Love your feedback on any of the things we talked about today, or even suggestions for my channel, things you would like to see more of, things you'd like to see less of, content that doesn't interest you anymore, content you wish I would do more of, so on and so forth. All suggestions are 1000% welcome down in the comments. So hope you're having an amazing week. Look forward to talking to you down in the comments.